us pray. Almighty God, where you have called us to govern this province, we ask your help to make decisions and laws that will be just and that will promote the interest of the people. Almagtige God, ons bid dat u gedurende ons vergaderings ons die nodige wysheid sal gee en ons motiewe suiwer sal hou en dat u ons sal help om al ons tekortkominge te oorkom en al ons besluite aan u op te dra. Sikalela ilezwe letu nabantu balu, umusile ukulungu kwepondo letu, mkosi sikalela i Afrika, kina abantwana bayo, kokela inkokele zayo, yeniki uxolo i Afrika. All this we beg in your holy name. Amen. You may be seated. Order, members. I want to take this opportunity to welcome our esteemed guests to the sitting today. Please note that for this sitting, the standing rules of the House will apply. Further, in compliance with the powers, privileges and immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act of 2004, this entire hall, including all visitor seating areas, passengers and ablution facilities, will be regarded as the precincts of the Provincial Parliament. Before we proceed, I would like to make some comments about the logistical arrangements. Today we have honourable members present in the House with the presiding officer and the table staff. Allow me to highlight some of the important housekeeping rules for this sitting. The Secretary and his administration will ensure that there is a dedicated technical support team at all times during the sitting. Honourable members, the quorum requirements for the sitting of the House are provided for in the Constitution and the standing rules. Unless there is a unanimous indication of unanimous concurrence, voting will be confined to members present in the House and who are entitled to cast their votes in accordance with the standing rules. Members who are present in this hall have all the privileges and immunities imparted by law. Honourable members who are considered to be out of order by the presiding officer will have their microphones muted and will be called to order. Honourable members, the Sergeant at Arms will record members' attendance. Today's sitting shall be governed by the standing rules, and in instances, honourable members, where these rules cannot be applied, the ruling by the presiding officer is final. When an honourable member wishes to raise a point of order, such an honourable member may address the presiding officer as normal, but must mute his or her microphone when he or she has completed speaking. Honourable members, you are kindly requested to ensure that your microphones are unmuted when I recognise you and to mute your microphones when you have finished speaking. I kindly request that those who are not members of the House to observe the decorum of the House. For the purposes of this sitting, language interpreting services are available by using the devices at your disposal. Should guests require an interpreting device, please raise your hand and an attendant will assist you. Officials are available to assist honourable members who are experiencing challenges with accessing the service during the sitting. Honourable members, I have to announce that in accordance with Rule 14 of the Standing Rules, today, the 26th of February 2025 at 6:30 p.m. has been determined as the date and the time for the Premier's opening address. This sitting, honourable members, is meant specifically for the purpose of affording the Premier of the Western Cape an opportunity to deliver his opening address. On this occasion, no business other than the address by the Premier will be entertained. I also wish to remind members that the debate on the address will take place tomorrow on the 27th of February 2025, when members will have an opportunity to engage fully and debate the Premier's opening address, and the Premier will reply to the debate thereafter. Honourable guests, honourable members, please now afford me the opportunity to recognise the Honourable Premier of the Western Cape for an opportunity to address the House. Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Deputy Speaker, Cabinet Ministers, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, honourable members of this provincial parliament, members of the consular corps who've travelled all this way, thank you very much for being here, executive mayors and deputy mayors, municipal managers, servants of our people, special guests, people of the Western Cape, en die spesiale mense van die Karoo en Beaufort Wes. Good evening, Molweni, goeienaand. And may I also begin with a special message to Zulani and Aaron, and of course your local stars, your backup singers. Thank you so much for that song, for those words. Step up, a call to action for every single one of us in this province. In actual fact, when I was listening to you, I thought about a step up for everyone in our country and on our continent. Leadership is not just about politicians or administrators. It's about every single one of us, about every single citizen, and calling on all of us to step up at this time or in these uncertain times. I think about neighborhood watches and CPFs, and I think about organizations like Revive Knysna, who gets out there and just gets ahead and does things, cleans up the town. I think about the citizens of Teewaarde's Kloof who get stuck in and help the President's Special Investigation Unit to bring justice and lead to clean governance in a town. I think about the nurses and the teachers. I think about the governing body members at our schools. I think about every single person across our province that really does step up, but also I think about your absolutely unbelievable message calling on all of us to step up. Because if ever there was an uncertain time in our world, it is now. Speaker, mag ek ook net vir jou baie dankie sê. Dankie dat u nou ingestem het dat ons parlement kan hier in die Karoo die openingssessie hou. Baie dankie daarvoor. En weet jy dat 'n opening van 'n parlement wat weggaan van waar ons sit daar in die middestad van Kaapstad, ek is seker beteken baie vir mense, veral hier in die Karoo. And you know, when I look at what's been happening over the last few days, when I see ministers out there busy handing out bicycles and checks for sports fields or spades in the ground to look at infrastructure investment, or visiting our clinics, or visiting spaces where we've spent money to put water management systems in place. When I think about the launching of a new energetic GBV program here in the Karoo, knowing that GBV in our country and in our region and in our province is such a horrendous scourge that affects so many people. When I see the standing committees out there, opposition, that means Parliament is looking at what is happening on the ground so that government can also be held to account when things perhaps aren't working. When we even have protest action, Mr. Leader of the Opposition, and I can come and fetch a document from you that we can take back into government and look at it, and as I said today, correspond back to you within 14 days. Mr. Speaker, baie dankie dat julle in die parlement ingestem het, dat almal van ons kan hier wees in die Karoo, in Beaufort Wes. Ek wil ook sê vir die burgemeester en die burgemeesters, die burgemeester van die dorp en die streek, baie dankie vir die weer. Want die speaker het eintlik vir ons 'n brief gestuur om te sê, jy hoef nie 'n das te dra nie, jy kan eintlik aantrek wat gemaklik kan wees, want ons het almal verwag 'n Februarie in die Karoo 40 grade. So burgemeesters, baie dankie vir die weer. 'n Heerlike dag hier in Beaufort Wes. Maar nogtans, ek het die das gelos en ek sien van ons het. En Speaker, ek weet nie, dis jou huis nie myne nie, maar miskien kan ek sê vir al die amptenarei, as julle meer gemaklik sal voel, vat julle dasse af. We got that rule from the Speaker even before today's sitting. But Speaker, as I stand here today, I first reflect on the last term. And thinking about that last term, it was a term of difficulties, it was a term of crisis. It was a term that we had to step up, deal with things as we went through. I think of water shortages and droughts. I think of the pandemic. I think of floods and reactions to floods. I think of financial difficult times in the last term. I think of this time last year talking about those firefighters, those men and women that were out across our province fighting those massive blazes because we're in February and it hasn't rained yet. And as I stand here today, exactly the same thing is happening. Our firefighters are out there in the city of Cape Town, in the winelands, in Drakenstein, across our province, fighting blaze after blaze, across our mountain ranges, fighting fires that make sure it doesn't affect our citizens. And I want to say to them, thank you very much. I know that as we speak right now, 7 helicopters are on duty bombing fires in the city of Cape Town alone. A whole lot more helicopters. Minister Bradell, thank you very much to you and your team, busy bombing fires as I speak here tonight. But thinking back at that time, we adapted, we innovated, and we responded to the matters at hand. I think also, and Mr. Yedwa, thank you very much for being here from Eskom. I think about the time that we lost all those power lines, and local government, provincial government, national government, Eskom, everybody got together and saved 40,000 residents from months of no electricity. Managed to step in, innovate, find ways to fix that problem, and as we do in this province, we step up. And so again, the message for this year is step up. Speaker, each of the moments and many more forced us to find new solutions. And today I'm proud to stand here to say that we have. We've partnered with municipalities and the private sector to add another 5,700 megawatts of affordable, reliable, renewable energy to our grid by 2035. I'll say a bit more about that later. We've stood together to expand our law enforcement efforts by deploying more law enforcement and traffic officers and K9 units to make our communities safer. We've built schools in less than 100 days and invested in infrastructure across our province that enables us to grow our economy and more jobs. Dit is wat die Weskaap definieer. Ons steek altyd ons hand op. Maar nou vra ek dat ons almal moet meer inspring en meer doen. We have to step up more than ever before. How we respond both as leaders and as residents matters. The way we engage each other matters. Listening with compassion and responding with humanity matters. Taking a personal responsibility, whether it's picking up litter or tackling a big policy issue or big policy challenge, matters. Holding spaces for difficult conversations without inflaming divisions matters. In times like these, it can be tempting to take the easy route, to play politics instead of solving the world's wicked problems. But that is not who we are. We are not afraid to work hard, make the tough calls, because we know that when we focus on one clear goal, we will achieve the extraordinary. Speaker, this province is built on robust dialogue and listening. As I make this speech, we are in very uncertain times. No clarity on our budget. We've gone through processes since last year already. Processes in MTEX, processes in budget policy. We've gone through processes as cabinet and at minute 99, all of those allocation letters actually mean nothing. So we are in very uncertain times. International markets are in distress, and elections are resulting in massive policy shifts across the world. Aid is being cut, and free trade is being replaced by trade barriers and tariffs. But while I think of those negatives, we also have major opportunities. In 2025, our country plays host to the G20, the first time on the African continent. We also play host to the many ancillary events that come with the G20. I think of the B20. On Monday and Tuesday, I had the honor of being part of those global CEOs from around the world, those Sherpas from Brazil, our own Sherpas here in this process in South Africa for the African continent, and the Sherpas who are going to take over the G20 from the US. Sitting in those B20 meetings, understanding that the world is in turmoil, and talking about how business is going to find its way in this new uncertain environment. As we sit here today, our finance ministers from the G20 are all busy gathering, talking about the new environment that the world finds itself in. Our own very finance minister sits here this evening, but I'm sure she's probably going to leave early tomorrow morning to play her part, as it is our opportunity to be part of these global gatherings. Next week, the G20 ministers will be meeting on fighting corruption and looking at good governance mechanisms. It will be my honor, because it is here in this province, to welcome those ministers, to talk about these very things that are challenging us here in South Africa. If we can't get a handle on corruption, we can't make sure that every cent that is supposed to go to the citizens of our province gets to where it has to be. The Western Cape this year will also play host to our Regional Leaders Summit. These are the sister and partner regions from around the world where every 2 years we gather. This year, we all gather here in the Western Cape just before the G20 takes place at the end of the year. We will be also launching our first and inaugural Western Cape Investment Summit. Thank you, Minister, to you and your team for putting that together. These will be the key platforms for us to amplify our voice and ensure that the principles of constitutionalism, rule of law, and the respect for human rights are protected. The global order is in turmoil, and we will stand for those key principles and against the attempts to reshape the world in a paradigm of might is right. It seems that the very foundations of democracy are at risk, and we must make sure that we stand for what is right. Speaker, this province has built key relationships with a myriad of international partners. I just think of our 30-year partnership and relationship with the state of Bavaria, and the help that that brings us, the partnership that it brings us, and how it makes us a better province. Together, our partners will keep holding the center, keep doing the right thing. Our singular focus for the next 5 years is clear. We will do everything we can to help businesses drive economic growth so that they can create more jobs, and so that our residents can get those jobs. Speaker, this commitment is encapsulated in our Provincial Strategic Plan 2025-2030, and it is aligned to the National Medium-Term Development Plan, which will guide our work over the next term. Each one of the members will get this plan today, but what I would like to say is to those leaders of parties in our province, thank you. Thank you for those that came to Beaufort West when we came last year and tabled both the national plan with our national colleagues and the provincial plan from our own administration, and engaging in this plan to make sure that we are building a proper plan for the next 5 years, and then the next 25 years for the citizens of our province. Speaker, more people can find a job in this province than anywhere else in our country. For the last half of 2024, our employment rate was below 20% and remains so. The Western Cape now leads South Africa by so many of these indicators. South Africa, we have South Africa's highest job absorption rate of 55.2%. We have the highest labor force participation rate of 68.7%. Speaker, when the last quarter jobs numbers came out, this province was responsible for another 62,000 jobs. That's 62,000 jobs out of a total of 132,000 jobs created in our country, nearly half of all the jobs in South Africa. Speaker, these are not just numbers. They represent real people, residents who are now part of our economy, earning an income, securing a future for themselves and their families. This is the story of a province that is stepping up. But our work, Speaker, is far from done. Unemployment at 19.6% is still horrifyingly high. Only 1 in 5 job seekers is still unable to find work in our province, and we have to change that. We recognize the critical need that social grants play for the vulnerable. But I want us to rather celebrate when people progress off a social grant and into a job. A social grant is a safety net, a protection. And we shouldn't be coming out year after year saying we've now gone to so many more million people in our country on social grants. We should be celebrating this is how many people have come off a social grant into a job. That is why we all have to step up. That enables them to also step up for themselves. We also know that programs like Expanded Public Works help our residents to get the critical step up the ladder, that opportunity to get some experience, to earn some money, to start to build a way of work and step up. Last week, the Western Cape government hosted a community information session here at Kwamandel Nkosi, here in Beaufort West. And Minister, thank you very much for doing that. I saw again yesterday the kind of projects in our infrastructure spend where those individuals get at least a 2-month opportunity of 4,500 rand a month. That makes a massive difference. But to those people of Beaufort West wat daai kans kry, gebruik daai kans. Gebruik daai kans om te leer. Gebruik daai kans om jou CV te bou. Gebruik daai kans om in te kom in die toekoms van 'n voltydse werk. That is actually the province that we need to build. A job is more than just financial security. It gives you purpose and it gives you dignity. As I always say, nothing stops a bullet like a job. Nothing puts food on your table like a job. And nothing gives you dignity like a job. Speaker, GDP per capita in 2023 was lower than it was in 2012. I'll say that again. In 2023, our GDP per capita was lower than it was in 2012. That means that South Africans are not getting richer. South Africans are getting poorer. And that is why we have to get strong economic growth, because that's the foundation of job creation. Speaker, between 2019 and 2023, the national economy grew by an average of just 0.3%. When GDP growth is way lower than population growth, than in the inflation rate, and continues to be so, and we have in this province increased migration on top of that population growth, we go backwards. And that's why it is so important that in our country we get the focus right to grow our economy, to create the jobs we need so desperately. Dink net in hierdie provinsie, as ons ekonomie kan net met 1% groei. En dan die jaar daarna met 2% groei. Dink aan 5% groei en die verskil wat dit sal maak. Hoeveel meer mense sal die waardigheid ervaar wat saam met 'n werk gepaard gaan. That really makes a difference to our citizens. But Speaker, South Africa is charting a new path through our government of national unity. We emerged from the 2024 election a new country. The GNU has given South Africa a reason to feel hopeful again. This follows years and years of that decline that I've just spoken about. Hope, you can feel it. I can see the leader of the opposition nodding. I know that at a national level we have a different agreement to what we have here in the province. But that is why we all have to step up and play our roles and build our country. The GNU is not perfect. We acknowledge this. But I believe the centre will hold, and that the GNU partners, no matter their policies and ideologies, have one thing in common: putting our residents first, so that they can see our country succeed. This beautiful country called South Africa. Here in the Western Cape and in South Africa, we are often consumed by all that is wrong. But I was recently invited to participate in the Munich Security Conference. And what struck me was that while the North was consumed by tariff increases, by increasing military spending, by wars, by cuts in critical aid, by building walls and borders and division, it was interesting, even at that space, climate change seems to have fallen off the table. They are all in a panic mode. And that pressure, when I sat there, was unbelievable. And thinking about where we live, here, on the opposite side of the world, it really made me think that our GNU and the challenges that we face are much easier to overcome. We can actually get these right if we all stand together and do the right thing. Build that hope. Create the optimism. This is what the GNU adds in our country and in this province. We will work with our national government in every way that we can to make sure that we do exactly that. Build South Africa. Speaker, in a world where people are seeking to split us and them, I celebrate this give and take that we have achieved. Two recent practical examples stand out, and I want to mention them to you here tonight. Just last week, we had a meeting in the city of Cape Town, something that we have been disagreeing about for quite a long time, and that is the district development model and our very own model, our model of cooperation in amongst our districts. You know that we sat in the city of Cape Town with Minister Schlabisa and his team, with myself, Minister Bradell and our provincial team, with the mayor and his team, and we listened to each other. And we listened to our different viewpoints. And we found ways that said, we have to compromise. We've got to find a new way around this. We can't end up in court on this. That's not the way to go. And in the interests of this newfound hope in our country, we've agreed to go away, and we've given ourselves 60 days to come up with a solution. Much better than going to court. And those administrations have already met. They've already met, and the message I got back from our administrators that sit in those meetings saying very positive discussions taking place. Speaker, we might not have a tabled national budget right now. But you know, as political parties stand together and say, no ways can we see a VAT increase for our citizens. You know, our citizens, as I've said, are getting poorer. We cannot put tax increases in place, even though we've seen that decline in GDP growth, and we need to fund education and teachers. We need to fund health and nurses. I don't see us not finding a solution on that budget and going back to the drawing board as a bad thing. That is actually a GNU coalition government in action. Going back to the table saying we have to now find a solution. And there are going to be those tough choices that we may have to make. We're going to have to make compromises. But I look forward to this process over the next 2 weeks so that we can actually end up with a budget that will give us clarity on the way forward, but also our country clarity. I see that as part of how this GNU is going to find our way over the next few years. While the GNU has begun the difficult task of righting the wrongs of previous administrations, we are grappling with the consequences now. The next few years are going to be very difficult for our country as we work to change South Africa's trajectory. We know that if South Africa succeeds, the Western Cape succeeds, and vice versa. I say that about Gauteng as well. I really need Gauteng to succeed. Gauteng is actually the engine room of South Africa's economy. We have to play a part here in the Western Cape, but so do every single province. And we will play our part in the GNU, and we will play our part here in the Western Cape. Indien ons ernstig daaroor is om meer werksgeleenthede te skep, moet ons onthou om druk op te sit vir volhoubare ekonomiese groei. Why, Speaker, is this collaboration key? Through our partnership with the GNU and initiatives like Operation Vulindlela, we will work to remove barriers to investment, cut red tape, and unlock the economic potential that enables businesses to grow and employ more people. And it's exciting to see the Vulindlela teams coming, engaging with the DG and our teams in our boardrooms, looking at ways to find these solutions. A critical part of Operation Vulindlela must be to dramatically improve the performance of the Port of Cape Town and developing other ports like Saldanha and Mossel Bay. And of course, don't forget other ports like airports. Our airport is at capacity, and we have to see the investments now going into that airport, the new private airport, and even our smaller airports in our smaller towns across this province. The TAD group from Elgin region. This is a group of comprising of more than 50 farms or agricultural businesses, highlighted the estimated cost of inefficiencies in the Port of Cape Town to the province's pear and apple industry. And nearly 1 billion a year is what the inefficiencies cost our economy. Just imagine if we can turn that around. It then turns to exponential positive growth. You know, that translates to a loss of 26,000 rand per hectare of farmland. A farmer who can't get a container load of product from somewhere in our province out of the port and now has to send it to Kocha or one of our other ports, the minimum charge is another 75,000 rand on that container. That means we become uncompetitive in the global market and we lose exponentially. That's why it is so critical that we get this right. We are facilitating the establishment of a task team comprising of multiple stakeholders, among them Wesgro, Transnet Ports Authorities, our departments, and this is to develop solutions to operationalize challenges in and around the Port of Cape Town. We have had already a meeting with Minister Creasy to facilitate this, and she has come back with actions that she will action now to make sure that we actually get private sector operators to operate efficiency like ports operate every single day around the world. We cautiously welcome the progress being made. The port achieved a milestone late last year by handling the longest vessel to call at the container terminal. This vessel was more than 348 meters long, 3.5 rugby fields long. And those of you that saw it, it was almost a rugby field wide. An unbelievable vessel, MSC Innes. Those are the kind of vessels that we need to have quick turnaround, load them with our products, and get them into our markets. If we act swiftly with purpose, we can dramatically increase economic growth nationally to over 3% if the port or our ports operate more efficiently. Like we invest in the movement of freight and logistics, we must also invest in the mobility of our residents. Goods as well. In Mobility Month last October, I caught a train with Minister Seleko, and we travelled from Belleville to Cape Town. Tens of thousands of people rely on trains daily to get to work and to school, to healthcare. We are currently working with PRASA to support the ongoing restoration of rail as a backbone for transport of thousands of people in the city of Cape Town. We used to have 600,000 people a day catching a train. Now our average is around 80,000. We've got a long way to go. But there seems to be a will. We still believe we've got a devolution of rail management, but we are working together to find a solution. Because out here in the Karoo, I promise you, julle het nie daai verkeer wat hulle het in die stad. Dit raak erg. But Speaker, it is also clear on mobility that we have a lot more to do. In December 2024, we celebrated 10 years of the Go George bus service. I think back to the humble beginnings of 2014, where we had 12 buses and 3 routes. This vital transport lifeline has grown. We now have 133 buses servicing 33 routes of more than 460 kilometers, and thousands of George residents rely on this service every single day. And thank you, Minister. In October last year, we launched the new Go George bus service linking Thembalethu with the George industrial area. And I see now that those weekly passenger trips are nearing 21,000. That is unbelievable in a region that is fast growing in our province. And when you put transport and mobility solutions in the middle, it just enables the economy to grow even faster. The Western Cape is proving that when the right policies and infrastructure are in place, the right investments follow and jobs get created. Speaking in my office, I have a map of the world, and it hangs the right way up. Most maps of the world, specifically in the north, they hang them the wrong way around, because we are actually here in Africa at the top of the world. The Western Cape and South Africa, we're at the top of the world if you hang the map the right way up. And that speaks to me every single day about our positioning in the world. I spoke to you about how I felt when I was in the middle of global political change when I was in Munich 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, listening to those speeches of outgoing chancellors in Germany, from Chinese leaders, from Ukrainian leaders, from American leaders, J.D. Vance's speech and how that went down amongst the citizens of Europe. I was sitting right there. And as I said earlier, it was amazing to come back here, walk into my office and see that map and understand where we live. We fix some of these problems, we become the destination in the world. The importance of how we position ourselves in the world is critical during these times of indecisive and, as I said, tariff wars and thinking of war. But getting back to this place at the top of the world and looking at our track record, we have, in the last few years, attracted 296 foreign direct investment projects. And that value of 171 billion was added to our economy. Cape Town and Stellenbosch are among the top cities in our country and in Africa for foreign direct investment. Between 2021 and 2023, we recorded 35 direct investments from the EU alone. That was to the value of 7.37 billion. One of South Africa's biggest cement companies at the moment is constructing a new 3 billion rand plant right here in this province. Why? Because there's demand for more cement, Minister. It's for those roads and those bridges and those schools and those hospitals. Our red tape reduction team has so far achieved a saving of 2.4 billion for businesses. We have over 300,000 SMMEs, small, medium and micro enterprises in our province. And these are the businesses that drive our economy, and these are the businesses that drive employment. These are the businesses that grow jobs faster than the big businesses. Our SMME Booster Fund has enabled 1,185 small businesses, creating over 1,000 direct jobs and sustaining more than 5,000 more indirect jobs. Our Getting You to Work voucher system, where job seekers get a free voucher for a number of routes on our Golden Arrow buses to go and look for a job, to go to an interview. More than 150 employers have now partnered with us, and more than 2,300 job seekers have registered for these vouchers. And roughly 50% of the surveyed users have found employment. That's amazing. 50% actually got a job through that program and getting to that interview. And over 90% of those on the program have reported that it was absolutely beneficial to them. We know that they didn't have to go and borrow money from the food kitty to get a taxi or a bus to go to that interview, or go and borrow money from granny and then you still had to pay it back. That bus trip is a massive step up. With over 240,000 people employed in the agricultural sector in the Western Cape, its potential for further job growth is undeniable. We are responsible, Minister, as you keep on saying, for 55% of South Africa's agricultural exports and growing. That is why we must do even more, to grow even more, create more economic opportunities for this critical industry. Over the past several years, the Western Cape agri-processing exports to the rest of Africa increased from 35% to 37%. Africa is a key partner in our agri-exports. It's got to be. And the relative share primary agriculture and agri-processing to the Americas increased from 6 to 9% and 7 to 10% respectively. Over the past year, we have made significant progress in supporting our agricultural sector and rural communities. Among our achievements, 35 rural projects completed, creating 1,417 job opportunities and rehabilitating 31,471 hectares of agricultural land. Direct support to 13 red meat producers, 2 grain producers, and 19 black commercial farmers, big farmers. Assistance for small farmers, subsistence farmers, and food security initiatives helped 3,930 households establish food gardens. Funding for the Lower Olifants River Water Users Association to maintain 268 kilometers of the concrete line canals that support approximately 840 farms. I'm also so happy that the Clan William project, that dam project, is now well on its way, and the wall increase going up very nicely. I've personally been there and seen the concrete being thrown. I've seen the space created for the hydro plant that's got to be connected to it, and we know that that is going to create another 9,000 hectares of potential agricultural possibility for growth and jobs. Investing 25 million to modernize the provincial veterinary laboratory. And there again, Minister, not only vet services to this province, you give vet services to this country and to other countries in sub-Saharan Africa. And we will keep on doing that. In the past financial year alone, our Veterinary Export Certification Office issued 15,203 export certificates, confirming that animal products from this province meet international standards. Speaker, our efforts to further enable tourism to grow more jobs is also paying off. Tourism is a critical economic driver. The World Economic Forum estimates that for every 30 new tourists that arrive, 1 new job is created. We have therefore set a target of 1 million additional tourists to come to our region. That will create 33,000 more jobs over the next few years. The number of arrivals at Cape Town International Airport in December 2024 soared to their highest ever in the last 12 years. 160,537 international arrivals in December through our airport. We passed the 10 million mark in that very same airport. That's why I say we're at capacity, and now we need infrastructure investment to enlarge it. This is largely due to the Cape Air Access Initiative, which we know has been running for quite a few years, but has seriously paid off dividends. 7 new airlines through 7 new routes are touching down in the Western Cape with 1 million inbound seats. On Saturday night, and I see the CG, thank you very much for being here, the Chinese Consul General and myself joined a few of our colleagues and our National Minister of Tourism and our National Minister of Home Affairs, and that's specifically because of our new Trusted Tour Operator scheme, where tour operators in China and soon in India will make it so much easier to get a visa to come and visit us. That will exponentially grow our economy just by changing one piece of regulation. That's how easy it is to do sometimes. And we really thank Leon Schreiber for doing that. It is making a massive difference. So CG, the challenge for you and I, and of course the challenge for the airlift team, is I really look forward to that direct flight out of Shanghai all the way in to Cape Town. And so that's the next thing we've got to work on. Speaker, the cruise line industry, just as the airline industry, is also growing in leaps and bounds. And just the passenger vessels and crew generated 1.5 billion rand in expenditure, supporting 1,965 jobs across various sectors. Ons wil egter aanhou met hierdie fondasies wat ons gelê het en 'n hefboom te gebruik, moet ons seker wees dat ons 'n arbeidsmag het wat toegerus is om hierdie geleenthede aan te gryp. Ons moet aanhou bou, ons moet aanhou seker maak dat ons mense hierdie geleenthede kan kry en gebruik. Die suksesse van ons provinsie begin in ons klaskamers. The success, actually, of our province begins in our classrooms. Speaker, am I sounding a bit gravelly? Thank you, Wayne. Speaker, we are educating our future workforce. Our matric class of 2024 excelled with a pass rate of 86.6% and a 5.1 percentage point increase over the previous year. That is phenomenal. Each grade 12 learner, their families, communities, and schools contributed to this achievement through their dedication and hard work. They stepped up. Baie dankie. The province's bachelor pass rate, which is a crucial indicator for the quality of matric passes, has also increased by 5.6% to 47.8%. We are incredibly proud that our province and matrics achieved the top mathematics and physical science pass rate again this year, with mathematics pass rate of 78% and physical science pass rate of 79.4%. Our candidates achieved the highest number of subject distinctions to date, with 11,699 candidates achieving a total of, I'll say it again, 11,699 candidates achieving a total of 27,948 distinctions. We have also an amazing pass rate for learners with special education needs, our LSEN schools, at 91%, and the highest bachelor pass rate in the country for LSEN learners at 63.3%. And once again, South Africa's top matric learner comes from this province. And so I would like to say to Ryan Ibrahim, from Pinelands High School. Congratulations, well done. Thank you very much. We are especially proud of the learners and teachers who, despite their circumstances, steadily improve their results across this province. Minister Joe Slovo Secondary School in Khayelitsha is one such institution. The school scored 99.3% matric pass rate, up from 87.2% the previous year, their largest pass rate since the National Senior Certificate began in 2008. But they are not alone. There are many more schools across our province. Spine Road High School in Mitchells Plain, a pass rate of 100% and a bachelor pass rate of 91.8%. Mondale High School in Mitchells Plain, 99.2% pass rate and an 81% bachelor pass rate. Usazo Secondary School in Khayelitsha, 99.1% pass rate. Kosat Khayelitsha, pass rate of 98.3%. South Peninsula High School, Deep River. Bernardino Heights Secondary in Kraaifontein. Rylands High School in Gatesville. Chris Harney Secondary in Khayelitsha. Kairos Secondary School, Heidelberg. Hector Peterson in Wallace Dean. And Ukolo Secondary School in Khayelitsha, all with pass rates in the high 90s. Unbelievable, and well done to every single one of those teachers, principals, governing bodies. Maar ons is hier in die Karoo. Ek wil sê vir Sentraal Hoërskool hier in Beaufort Wes, 95.5% baie geluk. Bastiaanse Sekondêre Skool, 86.9%. Laingsburg met 82.7% en Swartberg Hoërskool in Prins Albert met 97.1%. Maar die boodskap vir daai skole is net so Spine Road, julle kan dit ook doen. Net soos Joe Slovo, julle kan dit ook doen. Ek sien uit vir volgende jaar vir 100% in elkeen van ons skole hier in die Karoo. So thank you very much for every single one of you who are preparing our learners to become part of a thriving, growing workforce in this province and in this country and across the world. Our efforts to further improve the quality of our future workforce are being acknowledged. The World Bank Education Sector Analysis Report, released last September, has singled out initiatives such as the Back on Track and Rapid School Build program as examples of the Western Cape Education Department's ability to be agile and creative in overcoming some of our wicked problems. 15,450 grade 4 and 7 learners from 223 primary schools will attend Saturday classes this year as part of the Back on Track initiative. These classes, which have already begun, will focus on mathematics and languages. 8,000 grade 12 learners will receive academic support as they prepare for their matric exams this year. This will include Saturday classes and revision camps during autumn, winter, and spring school holidays. Our teachers will also receive professional development support through the Back on Track program. In-person training will be provided to 2,483 grade 1, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 teachers, with primary focus on mathematics and languages. Additionally, online training will be available to all teachers for grade 8 languages and a variety of grade 10 and 12 subjects. These sessions were all well attended last year, and these sessions were attracting up to 540 teachers. I look forward to that number growing and enabling more and more teachers so that our schools can keep on getting better and better and more excellent results. Speaker, the department's annual systemic test results in 2024 confirmed that good progress is being made in reversing the learning losses of COVID-19. The Back on Track initiative is the only initiative in the country of its kind. And the province is also the only province in the country that conducts annual systemic mathematics and language for learners in grade 3, 6, and 9. The pass rate for grade 9 mathematics and grade 3 languages are now higher than they were in 2019. The University of Stellenbosch study also confirms that the Back on Track has demonstrated a significant success in mitigating learner losses caused by the pandemic. The study found that the program achieved subject-specific recovery of an equivalent of up to 205 school days worth of learning, and that gains were most pronounced in Afrikaans and isiXhosa speaking learners who attended extra Back on Track classes. I sat in one of those classes myself last year and was thrilled to see the excitement of learners being in school on a Saturday. That I was not expecting. And of course our teachers as well, who give of their time to be there on Saturday. Speaker, we are investing in our youth in other ways too, and thereby also building a workforce for tomorrow. Ons toewyding aan ons provinsie se jeug begin en eindig nie net in die klaskamer nie. Ons belê in en ondersteun die arbeidsmag van die toekoms. Ons verseker dat jong mense die vaardigheid, kennis en geleenthede kry wat hulle nodig het om hulle hande op te steek en om te floreer. While our youth unemployment rate is more than 10 percentage points lower than any other province in our country, we've got to keep pushing this down because that still is unacceptably too high. That is why we are working with partners to create pathways into jobs, entrepreneurship, and further education. Our experiential learning program has helped over 12,000 young people gain skills in fields ranging from artisanal trades to clothing and textiles to business process outsourcing and hospitality. This year, 456 matriculants will get their first work experience through the Pay Intern program in our government. The MOD program will expand to 500 locations, reaching now 200,000 learners annually. And 1,500 work opportunities will be created through our partnership with Northlink College, helping TVET students gain practical experience in coaching and recreation. We could not achieve these results without private sector partners and NGO partners. Fancourt Hotel has taken over 60 Yebonaires for training. Lepco is creating logistics entrepreneur opportunities for 10 young people. Dotshore and Old Mutual are building a pipeline into the insurance industry, while hundreds of Yebonaire alumni are now studying teaching and early childhood development. That is something that really stands out for me. A matriculant that gets an opportunity through one of these programs, and when you engage them, they say to you directly, I've now decided what I want to do, and I want to go back and further my studies because I want to get involved in Treasury, or I want to get involved in an NGO, or I want to become a teacher. And that is the real added value of these programs. Speaker, 40,000 children have been supported to develop a love of reading, thanks to the Yebono increasing library literacy hours. 6,000 caregivers have been empowered to help children with literacy and life skills. The Community Arts Centre network has grown from 12 to 52 centres, providing safe spaces for youth to experience themselves, to express themselves and to tackle social issues. The Chrysalis Academy, a legacy of empowerment. As the Chrysalis Academy celebrates 25 years of transforming lives, we are reminded of the power of resilience. Many of our graduates, along with our Yebonaires, are proof that when faced with adversity, hard work and determination leads to success. Through all of these initiatives, we are instilling a culture of excellence. We are teaching our young people to work hard, to aim high, and never give up, just as this government does every single day. And while on Chrysalis, I would like to use this opportunity to specifically thank Dr. Lucille Meyer, who heads up that institution. She will be going on retirement. But for years and years and years, she has made such an impact on so many young people in this province. Lucille, thank you, thank you, thank you. Speaker, for the Western Cape to thrive economically, we must support our residents when they need it most and ensure that they are healthy and are able to take advantage of these opportunities, whether they be in the classroom, on the sports field, or in the job market. That is why we are investing all we can, despite our constraints, in our health and social services. Daar is te veel huishoudings in die Weskaap wat voedselonsekuriteit het en wat in hulle gesig staar. Leerders kan nie in 'n klaskamer konsentreer as hulle honger is. Belemmerde groei en onwillig is 'n ernstige probleem. This is stunting. So many of our kids are stunted. And our study has shown more and more in our province, because of what I spoke about, how we are getting poorer and not richer in our country. This has massive consequences. En as ons nie by ons kinders bystaan daar nie, then those children will not have an opportunity into the future. Do you know that if we don't fix that at that level, stunting could lead to the cost of those households of 357 billion by 2040? That is an unbelievable number. But this province has stood up, and we've created a cabinet-level committee on food security and nutrition, which draws its resources from multiple departments to lead and coordinate efforts to reduce food insecurity, improve nutrition, and support families, and specifically focus on that wicked number in stunting. NGOs, Speaker, are also under severe pressure during these economic times. NGOs are among those hardest hit, and even as their role in supporting our most vulnerable residents remain critical, this is why, and thank you, Minister, you have stepped up, and along with the lessons and support of the Health Foundation, who have done such an amazing job in raising funds in our healthcare space over the last years, you've partnered with them and you've created the Cape Care Fund to specifically look at how we can raise much needed funds to support the NGO sector that is under such pressure when our economy is failing. Our businesses do not have the extra money that they would normally put through their CSI money into these NGO programs. It is really tough, and they give our citizens critical care. So thank you for that establishment, and I really look forward to see how that starts to enable our NGO sector. Our GBV Ambassador program has trained over 170 residents to raise awareness in their communities about that scourge, gender-based violence. These tenacious individuals think little of giving of their own time as our broader efforts to end all forms of violence, at the same time offering much needed help to our social workers. Ordinary residents are stepping up to help us to end this scourge. One such individual, Dawn Marcus, I believe is here. Dawn here? Good evening, Dawn. Thank you very much for being here. Dawn Marcus has joined us this evening. And you know, Dawn came to one of our first Thursdays. She said she wanted to get involved and help. She engaged with the minister at First Thursdays. She was brought into training programs. She was trained up and is now a proud GBV ambassador in her community in Goodwood. Dawn, thank you so much for what you are doing. Thank you for stepping up. Just yesterday, we launched the 8th GBV Ambassador Program right here in the Central Karoo. Thank you very much for that. Speaker, to expand our service footprint, we have taken our services on the road. 3 DSD mobile offices, the first initiative of its kind in the Western Cape and in South Africa, are traveling across this province, bringing services and dignity closer to you. They've already traveled over 8,000 kilometers and already assisted more than 400 people and counting. Thank you for that. We have invested 86 million in the construction of the Easter River Hospital Acute Psychiatric Unit, the APU unit. This is just one aspect of a bigger initiative to build APUs and health facilities across the province at a cost of 279 million rand. The following projects are under construction at the moment: Caledon Hospital, Khayelitsha District Hospital, and the new Somerset Hospital. There has been impressive progress in the construction and upgrading of the Ravensmead, Botesig, and Ladysmith healthcare facilities. Thank you, Minister. The new Ravensmead Community Day Clinic, once completed, will include youth-friendly care, women's health, family health care, chronic disease management, mental health support, as well as emergency services, expanding new kinds of services to our citizens. The existing CDC in Botesig is being upgraded to serve more people. In 2024, we opened the new state-of-the-art Ladysmith Clinic at a 25 million rand investment in quality healthcare. This was relocated from the Allan Blythe Hospital grounds. This modern facility now meets the growing healthcare demands of this town, and thank you. I have also personally visited it, and it really does offer great service, and people feel good about going to work in these new facilities. It offers world-class service, including chronic disease management and immunizations, family planning, and specialist care in dentistry and physiotherapy, amongst others. Speaker, over the past decade, we have invested 18.5 billion rand in metro healthcare infrastructure, increasing capacity, efficiency, and access to specialized care. Vliesdorp now has a new ambulance station that houses 3 ambulances and a HealthNet vehicle to serve rural communities. This improves emergency response times and provides a base for training EMS staff, benefiting over 15,000 residents and handling approximately 500 calls every single month. Speaker, the Tygerberg Hospital Modernization Project is proceeding well. This is a World Bank partnership with us in a PPP. This 10 billion rand redevelopment will transform this hospital into a cutting-edge facility, improving specialist care and addressing Cape Town's growing population needs. And planning, Speaker, is well underway to deliver regional hospitals in the Klipfontein and Belhar communities. These initiatives represent a commitment to delivering dignified, high-quality health care backed by innovation and collaboration to benefit every single resident of the Western Cape and ensure that when opportunity presents itself, they are equipped to step up. Speaker, we are building hope and jobs through infrastructure investment. Die regering se sleutelrol is die ondersteuning van die ekonomiese groei deur grootliks infrastruktuurbeleggings. En baie dankie, minister, vir die uitrol van daai beleggings. Ons infrastruktuurprojekte word deur die Weskaap Infrastruktuurdepartement en ons 2025 plan oorsien. In the last 10 years, the Western Cape has spent 98,855,526,000 rand on infrastructure. I should have said, now listen carefully, but I didn't. When you invest in infrastructure, you promote partnerships, you promote confidence, and you promote economic investment. And we are seeing the fruits of that investment everywhere we look. You see cranes, you see yellow fleet, road working machines, you see builders with workers going to work and investing alongside us in infrastructure. Government investment lays the foundation for the private sector to build upon and create a booming, job-rich economy. For every 1 rand that the Western Cape government invests in infrastructure, 5.63 rand is estimated in capital formation and investment directly and indirectly into the economy. So that nearly 100 billion rand that, Minister, you've invested over the last 10 years has got more than a 5.6 times actual stimulation growth rate. If you go to Worcester and to George, you will see how these infrastructure investments have put water facilities, be they reservoirs or sewage processing plants. If you go to the N7, you will see the Melkbos, Potsdam, and Van Scoorsdrift interchange. That's a 790 million rand project well underway. The Malmesbury New Trunk Road under construction. Those bridges are already built by businesses, new businesses that are emerging businesses and building these magnificent bridges for us. That is a cost of 650 million rand. And at a combined 39.5 billion for the next 3 years, the City of Cape Town's infrastructure budget is 80% bigger than the next biggest city, Johannesburg, and almost 100% bigger than the third biggest city, Durban. Because alongside our infrastructure investment, and Deputy Mayor, I see you here from the City of Cape Town, congratulations. When our municipalities and our province and our national government invest together, you exponentially build more and more hope in our economy. The vast bulk of the spend, a full 75% of the spend in municipalities and in Cape Town, is earmarked for projects that will directly benefit Cape Town's lower income households. Over the past 3 years, the growth of building plans has exceeded the national average by another 8.26%. So we are building more than any other province in our country. Building plans passed is a key economic indicator reflecting positive economic activity and confidence. And we need more and more, faster and faster, because we want less shacks in our province and not more. We want more people with dignity and a roof over their heads. Speaker, our roads are the arteries of our economy. And you just have to get in your car and drive from the city, many of you did, along a beautiful road all the way here to Beaufort West. People comment about it. We've just had a magnificent tourism season, and people come here from the rest of the country and talk, Minister, about our road infrastructure and our continually focusing on reinvesting in it. Last year alone, 837,307 square meters of road surface was either resealed or surfaced, and I'm told by your team and your HOD, which I'm sure is here somewhere, that you're going to hopefully get that to 1 million square meters before the end of this financial year. Well done to you, our department, and our roads crew. You make us very proud. And even international visitors, CGs, they also say to us, wow, your road infrastructure is amazing. We are also reimagining urban centres and how communities interact with their surroundings. The Conradie Park, which we have seen in the last 5 years come out of the ground, and I was there again for the next phase, which is offering 3,500 units, residential units, over 2,000 job opportunities, 90 SMMEs benefited. We were there the other day for the setting up of the new sports fields and facilities there for the residents. It was great to see people coming home from work and using the recreation spaces and having picnics in the park. It really is an amazing investment. But of course, it's finishing. But it's to change the way we invest, not only in this province, and the way we create dignity and roofs over people's houses, not only in this province and across all municipalities, but in our country. And so, Minister, you know what I always say, I'm looking forward to the next Conradies and the next Conradies and more of them as we deliver them across our municipalities and across our province. But I'm sure you can talk a bit more about that tomorrow. Speaker, a safe province is a prosperous province. Without safety, we cannot expect investment and jobs growth. For communities to thrive and for our economy to grow, residents and businesses and business owners and investors must feel safe. In August last year, we took a significant step forward in our fight against crime by signing a memorandum of understanding. This memorandum of understanding with the police, and I actually did see our PC earlier. I'm not sure if he's in the room, but General Patakile. There he is. General Patakile, thank you very, very much for being here. Thank you for the partnership, that partnership that we signed between national government, provincial government, and local government. That's that partnership that said we've got a whole range of areas we've got to look at how we work differently. We've still got to see the fruits of this partnership, but it's a good step in the right direction, and thank you very much for that. We've got to work really hard to make sure that we start to move the needle. This agreement has ensured closer collaboration, better use of resources, and shared focus on data and evidence in policing. This MOU reflects the urgency that is needed to tackle rising crime. It adds significantly to the concept of improved collaboration, which is needed to take the fight to criminal syndicates. It is also a realization that there is a need for policing. I still believe we've got to decentralize certain models, and we've got to get more power closer to the people and allow more stakeholders a say in how we collectively address this scourge. We are working to ensure that this MOU serves as the nexus where all our crime-fighting resources are pooled, where we include community-based organizations, our community police forums, the more than 500 neighborhood watches with 16,869 members at present that walk our streets at night when people are in bed, many of them women. They are there to keep our community safe, and we thank them for stepping up. I'm hopeful that this MOU will accelerate progress on our plans to collaborate with the South African Police Services. The destruction on illegal firearms is just one such collaboration, and we've got to get that going faster. We've got to get it going so that they don't end up in some store and then, by some criminal act, end up back in the hands of our gangsters. PC, General, I still want to see lifestyle audits. There's been a promise of them. We will still fund it, General. We need lifestyle audits in our senior echelons of our police. We need to make sure that our LEAP program, our Law Enforcement Advancement Program, managed in partnership with the City of Cape Town, is just one example of where we are finding better partnerships. Our LEAP members have been increasingly busy. 12,074 arrests in 2024 alone, and since the LEAP inception, 40,065 arrests have been made, with more than 740 firearms taken off our streets. Last year, we initiated a trial where LEAP resources were concentrated and redeployed to 6 precincts in Cape Town with a double up of resources, together with 120 members forming a roving reaction unit. And when crime statistics came out on Q4 in 2024, we saw a major year-on-year increase in illegal firearm arrests in Delft, up 70%, in Gugulethu up by 94%, in Mitchell's Plain up by 33%, in Philippi East up by 40%. These areas have benefited from increased policing resources under this strategy. Similarly, drug areas have drug arrests have increased in these hotspots, including Delft, 43% increase in drug arrests. Gugulethu, 114% increase in drug arrests. In Khayelitsha, 62%, and in Philippi East, 333% increase in drug arrests. Thank you very much to every one of our officers who are out there performing and getting these kind of numbers. Speaker, on the fringes of that very same Munich Security Conference, I got to meet some of our international partners. Of course, we are partnered with Bavaria, but we are also partnered with the Institute of Security Studies as well as the Global Initiative. And together, they are also independently measuring our programs here in the province. And it was really good to see the difference, and General, it was good to see a reduction in crime in our province. Thank you for all that hard work. But it was also amazing to see how we use evidence-based policing, how we saw a control measure of a reduction of 3%, but we saw a 13% reduction in those hotspot areas where the double up is taking place, and SAPS and LEAP and law enforcement and citizens are coming together to fight crime. So that says to us, we've got to do things differently, we've got to learn, and of course these independent surveys tell us exactly that. Speaker, in rural communities, like in Mossel Bay and in Overstrand and in Swartland, we have increases in our safety units and our canine units that are out on patrol. And these units made 1,581 arrests in 2024. Our Peace Officer program offers another safety and security layer beyond Cape Town. Thank you very much, Minister. The 89 Peace Officer opportunities were created last year, while 60 more graduates are being trained. And in October, I attended the official opening of the Mossel Bay Canine Unit, and it was really amazing to see how these police officers, these law enforcement officers, how they work with those canines to really, can I say, take a bite out of crime. And Speaker, as we tackle today's challenges, we are also planning for tomorrow. PC, yesterday the crime statistics coming out was exponentially down. And we need to keep that trend going, and we will continue as per that MOU. And Minister, from our side in the province, we will continue to work with you in every way we can to make sure that we build a safer province. Speaker, I mentioned earlier on that we didn't have a budget, and a sustainable funding for the future is critical. Ons kan nie as 'n land aangaan op ons huidige finansiële koers. Dit kan nie so werk nie. So of course that's why we have to take some really tough choices, make some tough decisions, and make sure that we can get to a fiscal system wat volhoubaarheid het, wat ons kan beleggings in ons stelsel inkry en 'n beter toekoms bou. And of course, we will work hard as a province in supporting our colleagues at National to find a way to get to that budget. But while government funding is being squeezed and our residents are also struggling to make ends meet, we will make, and as I said earlier, we're getting poorer. The escalating cost of food, Mr. Yedwa, the escalating cost of electricity is really becoming difficult. Fuel prices, poor households are finding it increasingly difficult to make ends meet. And of course, we will talk about some of those extra costs that maybe are looked at being brought in. We need to make sure that we find efficiencies in our system. In the last few years, in actual fact, electricity increases have come up at 650%. Now that is just not sustainable, and we've got to make sure that we find alternatives. The pressure over the last while with the growing budget cuts, the growing fiscal financial crisis have left us with less funding in order to maintain our recognized high standards of service delivery and support our most vulnerable residents. At the same time, our rapid growing population is placing greater pressure on all of our frontline services. To cut our equitable share and conditional grants are just brutal. And the coming years will be tough as we work to rebuild our economy. Yet even as our funding shrinks, our responsibilities grow. Do you know that our population grew by nearly 20% between 2015 and 2024? But over the next 10 years, the next decade, we are projected to grow by another 2 million citizens. That is an unbelievable pressure. We welcome our population growth. We welcome people coming to this province to put shoulder to the wheel, to solve our problems, to help us build a province, to step up. We welcome them. But of course, we must be better prepared, and we know that our front line are under huge pressure. That is why our provincial treasury is exploring these new ways of approaching funding, to look at external partners and ways to collaborate, looking at partner funding, looking at ways in which we can stretch that rand even further. But Speaker, it is also about how we spend our money. En ek is baie trots om hier te staan om te sê, in ons regering, ons het nou vir die laaste 2 jaar skoon audits gekry, nie net van in ons departemente. In ons departemente en in ons entiteite het almal 'n ongekwalifiseerde audit gekry vir 2 jaar in 'n ry. Jy en jou span, baie dankie daarvoor. But it's not only in our province that we get these unqualified audits. In 20 of our municipalities have now achieved unqualified audit status with no findings, and 6 of our municipalities are unqualified but with some findings. We still have a few municipalities that we've got to support and get across the line, and of course we have to work hard to make sure that they get there. But audits and good quality audit outcomes show good governance. And that's how you build trust. That's the foundation of enabling us to borrow more money. That's the enablement of trust why people want to invest. And that's how we create this ecosystem. And we will continue to invest. But sound government is not only about good audit outcomes and good governance. It's also about how we understand what our risks are and how we tackle those risks. Whether they're investing more in managing cybercrime or, for example, putting money and the shoulder behind the wheel of climate change. I started off by saying once again, in opening of this parliament, our firefighters across the province are busy fighting fires because it is the fire season and getting worse. We're having less and less rain. Climate change has a massive impact on us. And I must say I stand here hugely honoured to have accepted the position of co-chair representing Africa in the Under 2 coalition of regions across the world. I, along with 3 other premiers, one from Scotland representing Europe, one from a province in Mexico representing the Americas, and a premier from South Korea representing Southeast Asia. The 4 of us are co-chairs representing our continents of regions. And more COP meetings are not getting the resolutions that we want, and regions are where the impact is felt of climate change. And so we have to step up. We have to step up. And along with our cities who belong to an organization called C40, and Under 2 and C40 have got to play a much stronger role in making sure we deal with disasters and climate change, not only here, but across the world into the future. Just in the last few years, since 2011, we have had 55 disasters in this province, 30 of those 55 in the last 4 years alone. And we've had to respond, we've had to innovate, we've had to build back quicker and faster using our own yellow fleet. We've had to really manage these disasters, and we have stepped up. And I want to say, as I said earlier, to our firefighting teams, but to our disaster teams, to our road workers, to people who get in there and put roofs back on our schools that blow off. Wherever the problems hit us from climate change disasters, we step up every single time and we innovate and we get it done. Thank you very much to every single one of them. Speaker, in this government, innovation is not just a buzzword. It is how we solve problems, improve service delivery, and create opportunities. Across society and government, we make a plan and we find solutions. 2 bright young minds at school level in our province that are doing just that, Tido de Priya and Adil Dawood. Tido comes from Friedenberg High School and Adil comes from Bishops. The 2 of them represented South Africa and this province at the 2024 Izmir International Innovation Science Engineering Fair in Turkey, and showcased the absolute talent that we have amongst our young people that is world-class. In healthcare, honourable members and ladies and gentlemen, in healthcare we are embracing cutting-edge technology. Georgie, which comes from George, a double robotic device which connects George Hospital to specialists in Cape Town or any other hospital around the world, and reducing unnecessary patient transfers in bringing top-tier expertise closer to our communities. Using innovation, using technology, added to what we were investing on a few years ago in robotic surgery, and staying ahead of the curve as the only state-owned hospitals in the country and on the continent that offer these kind of new technological services. In social development, our social work integrated management system, or the SWIMS app, another use of technology and innovation, which is now connected 1,052 social workers and making it easier for them to do their job, to file and track and manage their workload. Using this app, over 28,000 cases have so far been logged. And Minister, I'm glad to see you now rolling this SWIMS app out to our NGOs as well. And I mean, just imagine when all of that data comes together and how we can then be utilizing AI and new technologies to really bring across or bring about faster change and benefit through our NGOs to our citizens. This is how we step up, by embracing innovation, to improve education, to improve healthcare and social services for every resident in the Western Cape. And while we are honing our ability to respond to disasters, innovating for our future, we also need to build our water and energy security. Thriving, jobs-rich economies need reliable, affordable, and renewable water and energy. While we can adapt to energy shortages, we cannot survive without water. That is why we need to, why we have repurposed our Energy Council, which we started 2 years ago, to the Energy and Integrated Water Council, so that we can deal with both of these issues. That climate change is going to benefit at the end of the day, looking at water security and energy security. Despite good rainfall last winter, we cannot afford to be complacent. Annual rainfall is declining and could drop by as much as 30% by 2050. Our 15-year water plan is already in place and being acted upon. This uses science and collaboration to guide our approach. Residents and businesses remain water-wise, just as the lessons we learned in day zero and still using today in the city of Cape Town, less water than we used prior to 2017 with all of that population growth. These are the kind of programs we have to make sure we adhere to. Making sure that even in non-drought years, we are being responsible. Investment into infrastructure that protects our water supply. I spoke about new dams, and we need more of them, but we also need to look at other ways of making sure that we are water resilient. In the electricity space, in our province, we've always said that we use 4,000 megawatts at peak. Well, that was 2 years ago when we started with our plan. We now use 4,479 megawatts at peak. So we're feeling more and more pressure. Our energy resilience program, which we launched 2 years ago, is well on its way. You know that that's the 5,700 megawatt program. We've already unlocked in the last 2 years 2,000 megawatts of new energy development delivered and already in the market. We've already added 1,000 megawatts to the provincial grid, and this is not REAP or this is non-Eskom in our municipalities, in those grids of where it is landing. REAP is still offering big new investments into our energy grid system. Those of you that drove up from Cape Town yesterday would have seen those long blades on those long trucks going off to our wind farms. At this pace, we are on track not only to meet our target of 5,700 megawatts by 2035. In actual fact, it looks like we're going to reach those targets by 2032. And these initiatives are going to attract investments between 21 billion and 68 billion over the next few years. Globally, renewable energy now has overtaken coal for the first time. Here in South Africa, solar capacity has jumped from 2.8 gigawatts to 7.8 gigawatts in just 2 years. That's quite phenomenal. By late 2024, 710 megawatts of rooftop solar PV was installed just in the Western Cape. That's small businesses and households. And combined, solar could generate nearly a fifth of Eskom's coal power capacity. The recent bouts of load shedding, though, have said to us, do not stop. Don't take your foot off the gas. Keep with these projects. And I know you're working hard to keep the lights on. We've got to keep working hard to keep the lights on. We don't like load shedding, but we've got to get this new energy into the system. If we don't get it into the system, we are going to fail, not get the investments in place, and we are not going to create the jobs that we need. Addition to our program is also our green energy plan. And that green energy plan and our green energy strategy is not just in the Western Cape. It is the Western Cape, it is the Eastern Cape and the Northern Cape. The three premiers have come together with our teams, and we've got an agreement now. We've even, through our National Minister of Energy, engaged with Qatar on some of their investments and their direct investment and sovereign wealth fund, looking at investments. Other investments are already exceeding 120 billion in this province alone into green energy that is going to drive economic growth, create thousands of jobs, and fast-track a transition to a net zero emission. And added to that is also the potential of green steel in Saldanha Bay. And so we stand ready to make sure that we play our part. In our municipalities, in our bigger municipalities like Saldanha, Cape Town, Stellenbosch, they are already out on tender for thousands of megawatts. But our small municipality of Hessequa is leading the way, showing small municipalities that it can be done. We're already busy with a 210 million rand solar project there, battery backup, to show that small towns and municipalities can also get this going. That hopefully will also help Beaufort West en ons ander klein dorpe hier in die Karoo. That is why energy resilience in action, that is what it looks like, and that is why it is so important. Speaker, we are also bringing the Western Cape government closer to our residents. Ek is baie trots op ons regering se oop deurbeleid. Ek is baie trots op ons eerste donderdag. Ek is baie trots wanneer ons kabinet uitbring na ons mense. Ek is baie trots dat ons hier in die Karoo kan wees met die oopmaak van die parlement. Ek is baie trots dat ons maklik is om 'n afspraak te kry by ons publieke verteenwoordigers. When I travel across the province, I make sure of visiting hospitals and clinics and police stations unannounced to see what it feels like to be a citizen going to one of those facilities and receiving those services. I go there firsthand to get that knowledge that we can feed back into the system and bring change if necessary. But also to say to those officials, thank you very much for what you're doing when things are running smoothly and citizens are happy and not waiting in queues or feeling that they're getting great service. Speaker, this is a responsive government that works for you, the citizen. Our First Thursday initiative has already this year registered and resolved more than 1,090 public queries. Expanded access to our 80 e-centres across the province is bringing digital services to rural communities. We've processed 115,869 calls through our contact centre with a 98.3% resolution rate, and a resolution rate within our targeted turnaround time. Last April, I was in George and we launched our mobile e-centre. And it was amazing. My wife and I earlier this morning were walking up the road to go and find a cup of coffee, and that very mobile e-centre drove into town. I got a little hoot. That was really great. Gave them a little wave. Since that launch in George, they've already helped 1,836 residents in this state-of-the-art facility, going to the smallest of towns across our province. And during the George building collapse, that very centre also became a critical component on site as an office to manage that disaster. So a huge thank you goes to the officials who make this mobile service possible. Jacobus Pretorius, Welnik Afrikaner en Gershwil George. Ek dink julle is ook hier. Daar's julle. So kan ek sê baie dankie. Dankie vir die diens wat jy vir ons mense gee. Dankie vir daai toet vanoggend en regtig hou aan met wat julle doen. Julle maak 'n groot verskil vir soveel van ons mense. Dankie. Speaking in conclusion, I'm sure you're all happy about that. We have all worked with the residents of this province to make sure the Western Cape, this remarkable province and region, does what it does, steps up and makes the biggest difference that it can. In 2025, all of us, every single one of us, must step up ourselves and do more than we've ever done before. Many of our officials tell me that the pressure that they are under, so often, they say to me, we do it because we care. That's why they put up their hands. And we need to say to them as well, step up, but I know that you already do. You go above and beyond. You really do push the envelope, and thank you very much for that. This reflects on our dedicated officials. Our peoples need their aspirations and expectations, and the heart of everything that our government does is about caring for our citizens. That's why we are there for you. We have faced uncertainty before, and we have always managed to prevail. Ons doen dit deur ons inwoners eerste te stel en deur saam te werk om uitdagings aan te pak. Ons inwoners het ons gekies om te lei, en ons moet nou die mandaat uitoefen tot ons beste vermoë om ons planne in dade te sit. Beyond all the hard work that we've put in over the past year, I am filled with pride when I see government being done right, and especially when it's done right here in the Karoo in Weskaap. While there is much still to do, we feel proud of all that we have been able to achieve. Urgency and hard work underscore how this government functions, because every day each of us is stepping up. Speaker, before I end, I must say thank you to my cabinet colleagues. Thank you for the hours and hours that you put in. Thank you to the members of this Parliament for the job that you do, holding us to account, visiting our offices and our spaces of service delivery, speaking to our residents, understanding where those pressure points are and bringing it back here so that we can have those debates and those conversations that I spoke about, that we can look at how together we can all step up to build a better province. DG, to you, the HODs that are here, the officials that are here, baie dankie vir die ure en ure wat julle insit vir ons mense hier in die Weskaap. It does not go unnoticed. Thank you very much. Citizens of the Western Cape. Ja, ons kan vir hulle Citizens of the Western Cape. I know that we have said, and it was said in a beautiful song as we started this evening, step up. Let's all step up again. Let's all push even harder during these times of uncertainty to make a bigger and bigger difference. So thank you for what you will be doing this year. I must say to my office, to the dedicated team in my office, thank you so much for the support that you give me, because without the work that you do, I wouldn't be able to do what I do, and we definitely wouldn't have the happy customers that we do have. So thank you very much for everything that you do. To Tracy, thank you for the love and support. To you and both Jason and Lauren, I think without you, I definitely wouldn't be able to do what I do. And so the real backbone. Thank you so much. So, Speaker, in the year ahead, every single day, we all have a choice. We can choose to be negative, to break down, to fight amongst ourselves, or we can choose to step up, be constructive, to build a better province. This year, let us all make a choice to step up for that better province, the Western Cape. Baie dankie, Nkosi. The Western Cape is a government for you. Thank you.
Order, members. Thank you very much to the Honourable Premier. Members, in accordance with Rule 15 of our standing rules, the Premier's opening address will be placed on the order paper for debate. Honourable members and guests, you are requested to remain standing in your places while the procession leaves the chamber. Honourable members and guests in the gallery, please note that on Thursday, the 27th of February, the proceedings will commence at 8 a.m. Members who have not yet received the documentation, I stopped it midway because I didn't want to interrupt the Premier. Can you please remain behind so that you can just get the documents that was distributed by the table staff? Honourable guests and members, I would like to invite you to join us for some dinner outside. And with that being said, that concludes the business for the day, and the House is adjourned.